So far, so good. It's live. It's live on the internet. Oh, it's working. See, we hit the go button. It went crash, kaboom. Didn't work. And then we reloaded and refreshed the page. This is a web-based studio. And it worked, thankfully. Good morning, everybody. Hope you're doing well. My name is Sean Shapiro. This is Ask a Traffic Cop, that show on the internet that allows you to ask me questions about traffic safety, traffic law, and police stuff in general. We do it Monday to Friday unless I don't show up for work, and that's how we roll. Okay, we're a little more regular than that, but we are here for you, and we are currently broadcasting on a number of different platforms like TikTok, YouTube, Twitch, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, Kick, and X, formerly known as Twitter. If you are watching on X, formerly known as Twitter, know that it is a one-way valve to you. We can't actually see what you are saying, so if you'd like to ask us questions, and we would like you to ask us questions, please head over to trafficcop.ca, at which point you can click on the YouTube link to today's episode. And there, you'll be able to ask us questions. It makes life so easy when we can hear you, because otherwise it's awkward. Yeah. Like I said, my name is Sean Shapiro. I'm a police officer with the Toronto Police Service, and I do this social media thing because I want to help drivers. I want to take away the mystery, the confusion surrounding the Highway Traffic Act. There is so much that people don't understand, but I'm not alone in this mission. We are working with Ford Driving Skills for Life. Yes, and because I am so ready to share this video, I want to play for you a video that explains what this event that's coming up on August 19th and 20th is, because there are currently 4 sessions available. It's August 19th, either at, what does it start at here? Let's see. I think it's at 7:30 in the morning. I don't know here. It's the AM. There's an AM and a PM. I had the dates written down somewhere. Do I have them in front of me now? No. But I do have a website that you can go to. You can go to trafficcop.ca and click the link to sign up, because there are currently 64 spots available on Saturday morning, 42 spots available in the afternoon, 74 for Sunday morning, and 44 in the afternoon. Obviously, the afternoon is the more, interesting for those who like to sleep in session, but if you don't sign up soon, you won't have anything to go to. Now, that is a 4-hour session. You're going to be driving Mustangs. Well, you know what? I'm not going to do the description justice. What I am going to do is hit play, and then you will see from them.
Well, I heard a lot of good things about this program through friends and thought it would be a great opportunity for the young drivers to just kind of get out there and see what it's like. You know, they have their certain skills that they think they have, and it's good to be out there and learn new ones, and so they can take out the road and be safer.
It's a great experience. My son is learning, the boundaries of the vehicle, and he's getting to test those boundaries. It helps him with his confidence, and I think it's going to help him as he's out there driving, being more defensive and cautious of his surroundings.
And I was a little concerned with the way he drives, and I wanted to get a little more confidence on the road, having experiences that maybe he hasn't had with me in the car, that he could experience those, so when they came up, he would know how to react.
At the Ford Driving Skills for Life program, what we try to address is the #1 cause of death for teenagers in the United States. And it turns out that that's car crashes.
I think it's going to help with my experience in driving. It's taught me new skills already, and it's going to keep on doing that while we're here. But it's going to help keep me safe in the future, and I'm glad for that.
We teach the physical aspect of driving, things like proper braking, vehicle handling, speed and space management, and we give drivers some experience behind the wheel.
What's better than most the driver ed, it's completely hands-on, which is nice.
And with Ford offering the 4 different scenarios, made a huge improvement for my daughter learning to drive.
So we are vehicle handling, and today we're working on correcting an oversteer situation by placing your vision.
the video stopped. Don't know why it stopped, but you know what? That probably means it's time to move on. There is a link that I will add that explains or that lets you watch this whole thing on YouTube, and that is what I'll share with you after the show is done. Put my show stuff back on the screen. That was a 5-minute video that didn't play for 5 minutes. Went for 2.5. What can I do? If you're watching, you probably know who we are, but in case you don't, my name is Sean Shapiro. I'm a police officer with the Toronto Police Service, talking about traffic safety, traffic law, and police stuff every single day. Okay, what was just on screen was the Ford Driving Skills for Life promo reel that I wanted to share with you that broke. But just to get an idea of what kind of skills you're looking at, should you sign up for this free training for the 19th and 20th of August, which is coming up real soon, which means sign up now. It talks about hazard recognition, vehicle handling, speed measurement, space management, and we talk about impaired driving and distracted driving. And I will be there for the entire weekend. There will be police officers from Toronto Police there talking about impaired driving specialists, the people who ultimately do the testing, the people who are trained and know all sorts of stuff, but they'll be there to help answer questions that you might have. Now, now that we've talked about this, let me tell you exactly what's happening with Vision Zero, which is, you said, order of operations change. And yet I still remembered to come back to Vision Zero. So today being the 3rd of August, we have Vision Zero enforcement officers focused on Vision Zero activities, enforcement activities. In fact, 32 Division and 33 Division, they're close together. Downsview, Willowdale, Newtonbrook, Bathurst Manor, Parkwoods, Denalda, Bayview Village, York Mills. Those are neighborhoods where real people live, work, and play and deserve to be safe. So what does it mean to say that officers are focused on, Vision Zero activities, enforcement? They're looking for the big four. Simply put, they're looking for those who speed, aggressively drive, distracted driving. They're looking for people who are impaired drivers. They're looking for people who are willing to do those things, choose to engage in those activities, putting others at risk. Because that's exactly what these activities lead to serious injury and death on our roads. They're unacceptable, and yet some people choose to engage in them. So our officers are there to ensure they get the appropriate charges, and ultimately that might lead to them not driving anymore. Because what happens when you continuously break the law? Well, you get points on your license, and you accumulate enough points, you get a suspension, and your insurance goes up, and that might mean you don't drive anymore. But here's the funny thing: you have all the control. You can choose not to break the law. You can choose to drive safely, not speeding, not distracted, not aggressively, and then you don't get tickets. It's shocking, I know, but you have the power. Who said that? What cartoon character said, "I have the power"? Well, he didn't say you have the power. He said, I have the power. Well, but it was a possessive thing. He had the power. So who was it? I love it when we get an opportunity to talk about trivia when it comes to television and movies. I get a kick out of it. And it is the same folks who tend to answer the questions. So I put it out there. If you know, please let me know if you know. Now, in addition to the questions that are coming in on my screen, I'll let you know that my wife is back in the chat helping. She is, because producer JD is on vacation. If you are in the TikTok chat, I'm not looking at TikTok. My wife is. She is pasting it into YouTube so I can put the question on screen. All right, scrolling to the top, I've got a hello from Tim, a good morning from the Grinch. I've got Stephen Bell with a good morning. Of course, my wife says good morning. Big Jeff Fresh comes in with a good morning through YouTube saying, I think I'm going to make a dice roll. I think I'm going to make a dice and roll for platform to watch. There you go. So Big Jeff Fresh likes to bounce between Twitch and YouTube, and he makes his rounds. But today he's on YouTube, unless things change. Maybe you're going to rotate throughout the show. Okay, here we go. So Ryan, who is new to the show but a very active user coming through on Facebook, says, I saw the video uploaded last night of the dangerous driver. Did you report the offender? Will there be consequences? I'm glad you brought this up. Now, for those who have not seen this video, let me play it for you. And hopefully it'll work, because the first one didn't work. But this is shorter, so there's hope. Okay, let's see. I'm going to play this video. This video should really shock you. This is footage filmed in my vehicle. This is my dash camera. And what you're seeing is an aggressive driver. They're following too close, and that isn't shocking on its own. It's not legal, but it's not shocking. It's the maneuver they're about to do. This is the aggressive lane change to the right, the immediate cutting off of the vehicle on its left, and then when it gets better, it's the thread the needle between 18-wheelers. 18 wheelers. 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 18 wheelers Yeah. Those 18-wheelers couldn't have seen them. There's about a 19-foot box of invisibility, and that vehicle was in it. Want to see it again? Yeah, let's have a look. Just amazing. So we've got all sorts of things. This is someone who should have been charged and shouldn't be driving. Well, okay. So that's the video, and here's the answer. Did I get a license plate? Absolutely. After reviewing the video, because when it happened, I was in my personal vehicle with my family in the car, driving somewhere. I caught just the moment, like it didn't really click in until just the moment as they made that aggressive sweeping left, and there was no time for me to recognize or catch a license plate, nor was there a safe way to pursue and give notification. Calling the police at that point and saying a car did something dangerous isn't helpful. Now, I did review the tape. This is how I got this footage, reviewed it, downloaded it, and I did get a license plate. So can I lay a charge based on that? I witnessed it. I can't. I can't identify a driver. I didn't see a driver. This is not a owner responsibility charge. I need to have a driver behind the wheel. So can I send a letter to the registered owner as a police officer? Or if you sent in a complaint about a driver, could a letter to the registered owner be sent saying that we saw this vehicle at this date and time at this location and it was reported and this is going to be, yeah, that we can do that. And that should be done. And that might be exactly what happens. But, you know, in terms of going and charging them, can't lay charges in this one. Sad, but true. But maybe there'll be if they drive this way, they drove that way that day, they'll drive that way again and they will get caught or they will hurt somebody. Hopefully they got caught first. Okay. Okay. The Grinch sent me an email regarding the job posting. Cool. Thank you very much. I saw a couple of submissions. Didn't actually open them yesterday because yesterday was a blur. It was camp and then home. Let's see here. Okay. Question from TikTok. What information comes up when a cop scans your plate? Well, very simply, we get a return on the plate, so everything related to it, current, whether or not it, or who it owns it, that's for one. If it's valid, we can then start digging. We can see if there's insurance reported, but then we can search the registered owner and go down the rabbit hole of searching things. But generally speaking, it's the license, the description, the whatever's on your ownership document. And one of the things on your ownership document is who owns it. Good question. I don't think we've had that question recently. Do I need a helmet on a Jetson bike? What is a Jetson bike? Let's find out. Well, first of all, if it's a bicycle, if it's a bicycle, a pedal bike, which I'm assuming it's not, Jetson bike, let's Google this. Oh, interesting. Okay, I think these are available at Costco, but let's have a look. Bolt Pro. So yes, that is an e-bike. And as an e-bike, you are required to wear a helmet, regardless of your age in the province of Ontario. Everyone on an e-bike requires a helmet. Now, I see the Bolt electric bike. It has no pedals. And as such, that is a motorcycle and not legal for use in Ontario. I don't see any pedals. They have the Bolt Pro, which does have pedals. That's an e-bike. That would likely conform to the regulations in Ontario. I'm just scrolling through their catalog. But yeah, the Jetson Bolt, not legal. The Bolt Pro has pedals. And this looks incredibly small. I think I'd look quite ridiculous on it. And I will now close the window. Oh, I guess I should have shown everybody else what that looked like. Hang on, because maybe you're interested. So Jetson bike, do that search again. How rude of me not to share what I was staring at. Okay, Jetson bike, here we go. So there we go. Jetson bike, very slow internet today. Don't know why, but there we go. I don't know if these are Canadian or American prices, but that's the Jetson, and you can see it has. I can't move my mouse there because it takes the picture and turns it into something else. But if you look at in the center line, that's a peg. That one's a motorcycle. That one would, if legal for the road, which it's not, would require license, ownership, and insurance. So don't get one of those. The Bolt Pro, and I didn't look at the specs. I'm assuming it is, let's see here, 15 miles per hour maximum speed. That would be under the 32 permitted. I don't see what the motor is, but I'm going to product details. Motor, where is it? 350 watt. Yeah, you're allowed up to 500 watts. But it's an e-bike, and as such, you are required to have a helmet, regardless of your age. Okay. Chase apparently likes what it looks like. the Mustang, the Ford, the Ford course. Which, by the way, please don't live in regret by not registering now. If you're available and you want that free training, by the way, it's free. If I mention it's free, it's free. 4 hours of free training. Where is anyone going to get that? So if you're a new driver, all you need is a G1. You can go and participate. But back to, Chase thinks it looks amazing. Boom, boom, boom. Why does Ford do this, and what's the benefit for them? Well, they may benefit because you're going to get behind a wheel of a Mustang and fall in love with it, but they're trying to make roads safer. I think that this is them contributing to making roads safer. They're a major player in the automotive game, and this is a pretty impressive push for safety. If they can save people, more people can stay alive long enough to buy cars. No, it really is most companies do good things for the community. This is just their form of it, and I think it's awesome. The Grinch says it looks like fun. What are the legal consequences for driving with a puppy in one's lap? Okay, there's a couple of different ways to go here. So first of all, careless driving would be the first one. It's careless. Regardless of whether your driving is all over the place, it's careless to do this, and charges are eligible. You're eligible for charges, especially if the animal is doing things, it's sticking out the window. You're not able to control the vehicle. You got a puppy on one arm, you got a hand over the other side. It's just not safe. There's also a charge called drive while crowded, which is an option depending on which way the officer wants to go. But let's talk about, forget the ticket, because the ticket is if we catch you before bad things happen. Let's say you're in a front end collision, you rear end somebody, so you're involving the front end of your vehicle. Your airbag deploys at about 200 miles an hour. You're gonna make puppy mush. You're gonna kill that dog. You're gonna injure yourself because puppies have bones. They get driven into people at high velocity, explosion time for airbags, because airbags are not designed to deal with something in between you and the airbag. It's just not a good thing. So you're likely going to kill the dog. You're going to hurt yourself, and even if you don't end up, having that serious an outcome as a result of the airbag deployment in the collision itself, that dog is not tethered and not crated. So there's all sorts of issues that come from there. You want to make sure the dog is crated or tethered and in the back seat, not in the front seat, because and tethered means attached to a harness system, which is attached to a seatbelt. Why? Why would you care about this? Well, because puppies or dogs, animals, things in your car will become projectiles in the event of a collision. Those projectiles will hurt you, but in the case of a dog, an animal that can think and do for itself, if you are trapped in the vehicle after a collision, or even if you're not, but the window's broken, dog may freak out, jump out the window, get hit by a car, bite somebody. There's just so many negatives to having your dog roaming freely in your vehicle. Legal consequences aside. Hopefully I answered your question. If you got more, please ask again. Dr. Nick would love VZET in the pre-recorded intro. There was no pre-recorded intro because the pre-recorded intro relies on me having time to pre-record it, which I didn't have this morning or yesterday. So it'll be until such time as I have time to do it in advance. It'll be live, and until then. But when I have time, I will totally do it and put the VZET in there. But it's all about time management, and there's a lot going on here before the show. A lot of hustle, a lot of stuff. Today I'm going to be on the Kelly Contreras show at 12:30 and doing some organizing regarding that. And the Grinch is 2 for 2 because he answered correctly. He who has the power is He-Man. Oh, Tim. So then Big Jeff Fresh came in with a second vote, and Tim Shallow with the third. But the Grinch, I believe you got it last time too. What was it last time? I forgot already. What age? And I have something for you, Grinch. What age kid? What age? No, I read that right. What age kid can ride in front passenger seat? There is no legal age for riding in the front passenger seat. We would like to see children remain in the back seat until they're 14 years old, but they're legally permitted in any seat as long as they're wearing or secured in the appropriate child safety harness. So they have to be in a child restraint or booster seat until the age of 8 years old, or 80 pounds, or 4'9", whichever one happens first. But that sitting in, even then, sitting in a seat without a seatbelt, ideally would be in the back seat. What happens if you have a two-seater? Well, obviously we can't prevent them from going in the car. They can, but they're less safe. So why are they less safe? Oh, by the way, that's probably a good thing to mention. It's because there's airbags. Just like the dog we talked about a few minutes ago, dogs and kids, both small, both may be injured by airbag deployment. So if you have no other choice, then the seat must be pulled all the way to the back. Not because it's a legal thing, but because it's a safety thing. We want them as far away from that airbag as possible. Hopefully that covers it for you. Chase has a question. Can police do off-duty security work and still have arrest powers? No. So here's the deal. We are police officers 24/7, so we can't do off-duty security work. We can, however, work in a paid duty capacity, which is in police uniform as a police officer with police powers contracted through the Toronto Police Service. And that is something that we can do. But that's not a security guard. That's doing security-esque work on contract through the Toronto Police. So the liquor store, for instance, hires a police officer very often because they have high theft rates. They'll hire a police officer to stand by. Some jewelry stores do it. So it's generally either security or it's traffic direction. Those are usually the two different things, and companies can hire us and pay. They pay. It's not taxpayer money doing it. Akela Draconis comes in a few minutes late, but we'll let it pass this time. Greetings and salutations. We have Leo White with a question from TikTok. The question says, scenario, you slow down under speed limit to go through a bad section of potholes and someone blasts you from behind, who's at fault? So someone drives into you when you slow down. As long as you're being reasonable, your brakes are working, you're doing everything right, that is a reasonable reason to slow down, right? If you were in 100, highway is a bad example. You're in a 40 zone and you go down to 20 because it's tremendous potholes there. That's not illegal. You have a reason to do it. But the person behind you has an obligation to drive safely and adjust to the changes of driver behavior in front. If they're looking at their phone instead of you and they drive into you, or they just ignore the fact that your brake lights are on and drive into you, that's their fault. Would it be part of the investigation that you slow down? Sure, but it's entirely reasonable to slow down. So, something else on that note. What was the thing on that note? There was something I wanted to talk about on that note. And then it escaped because I took a sip of water and changed channels in my brain. Okay. Yeah, it'll come back to me. Maybe. We got Stephen Bell with a question. I've seen you on the news a couple days ago with a driver driving on the sidewalk in Toronto. I can't believe what I have seen. Wow. Yes, that was an egregious example of road rage and flight from police and criminal behavior that is totally unacceptable. I mean, totally unacceptable. We talked about it on the news because people were so in awe of this. But I will say this, that is an unusual level of behavior. So generally speaking, it's yelling, screaming, cutting people off. That's what we usually think of as road rage. What we saw there was criminal escaping, not caring about lives. I can't believe nobody was hurt. If you look at that video, there was somebody in a wheelchair that was pushed into traffic to avoid being hit by the chap who was driving their car on a bicycle lane. Yeah, totally unacceptable. And they were charged and criminally charged at that. Thursday joke with the goal of getting Sean to smile. I'm already smiling. Do we start this now or do I leave it for later? Okay. Boom, boom, boom. Someone broke into the police station and stole all the toilets. Police say they have nothing to go on. I have heard that one, but it is a good one. So definitely deserving of kudos. John has a question. John Westhaver, my friend, who is not in Toronto, not in Ontario, but is a traffic safety. He's a man of many things. He is a speaker and motivator and car crash survivor. Let's see here. So question, what about sending the video and the info to the insurance company? Do you think the insurance company would raise the registered owner's rates with proof of dangerous driving? That's something that could certainly happen. I don't know about what the insurance company or what there's been discussion about making reports to insurance companies. And I don't know if that's the appropriate thing for the police to do. But I know that some agencies have talked about doing that. So yeah, it's certainly worth looking at because someone who drives like that should probably not be paying insurance like everybody else. They should pay a premium, but that's for them to decide. But I like the suggestion. Okay. Here's the question of what's the fastest you've ever driven due to work? Okay. So first of all, this is an on-duty question, not a personal vehicle question, because I don't speed in my personal vehicle. I'm not allowed to. But for work, I am, as a police officer, permitted to exceed the speed limit. Now, I can also tell you I'm a motor squad, or was a motor squad officer when I was on the road, and we were involved with high-speed escorts. Now, the escort wasn't high speed because the package, or the person being escorted, the dignitary or internationally protected person, would be traveling at a safe speed limit. But we'd have to get in front of the package to close the roads, and that's something that we do very well. But we do have to pin the needle and very often exceed speeds of 150, 160 kilometers an hour on a closed road, because we are closing the road. We're not actually driving through and past other vehicles. I think that's really important to say, because it's not speeding around other people. Having a high speed differential is dangerous. Closing the road and going fast is like being on a racetrack. And we're not racing, but we are going quickly, and we are doing it in the safest way possible. But it is impressive if you ever see the motor squad move a dignitary. I think it's very impressive. So what's the actual speed? I don't know. I'm focused on safety, not staring at the speedo at the time. But fit 150, 160 easily. Question from TikTok says, what dash cam does Sean use? The video looks very clear. Currently regretting the one I bought. So this is a thing. It's a personal investment. I had one previously that did 1080. This one does 4K. I researched a lot. I was checking out, what is his name? Oh, this bugs me because I watch his stuff all the time. He's a Canadian, Linus Tech, I think so. He reviewed a whole bunch of them, and I went with one of them that he reviewed, and it was the U1000 from ThinkWare. 4K front camera, 720p rear camera, and it's a super, super wide angle lens. And you'll notice that I'm tracking. Well, I'm tracking in post. I'm in editing mode. I'm scanning left and right inside the picture to be able to show you what I'm looking at. But a lot of people say, "Oh, it looks like you're using your phone." I'm not using my phone. I have a surprise for you. In moments, I will be bringing in a friend of mine who is a radio announcer. Well, is he not a radio announcer? He's a show host. He's a journalist. He's a principal of a really cool race team, and we'll have him on in just 1 second. I want to scroll through a couple more questions, and then we're going to bring him in. Let's see here. But it is awesome when a plan comes together. So what show is that from? I love it when a plan comes together. Yeah. Okay. Mrs. Draconis is still off work, but and not allowed to drive. Oh. But it was determined that the other driver was completely at fault. That is good to hear. Mrs. Draconis was involved in a collision recently, so we're glad she's doing better. What is this? Oh, okay. And Akela says, I got a dash cam that constantly records my whole drive. I don't have a record button. So this is an interesting thing, and maybe we'll talk to Brian Max about it. Hello, Mr. Brian. You are a little bit pixelated, but we're glad to have you.
Good morning.
How goes it?
It's going. It's lovely here in my office.
Fantastic. I see lots of cars behind you. Are these new pictures? No, these are the same pictures as I saw last time.
Yeah, nothing's changed behind me, but there's lots of good stuff there.
Fantastic. I don't know if you have a settings option to put a higher resolution on, or maybe we shouldn't mess around with it. But you're a little bit garbled. In terms of, we'd like to see you in focus as much as possible. No, there's no.
Oh, wait a second. Settings. There is a setting here.
Yeah. Hopefully we don't break anything.
No.
This will be a record if we can keep Brian connected for more than 45 seconds without having to reset. But dash cams, I have one that records all the time, but I can also hit a button in the event of manual recording, the need to catch something, which I use all the time. Similar to what we have in the police cars, we can manually trigger it as well.
Yeah.
And do you have dash cams? Are you a dash cam advocate?
And my personal cars, no. And I tend not to drive them all that often because I'm always driving, new things. However, a lot of new cars have this technology built in, and it's simply automatic. So if there's some type of incident, it will automatically save that footage. If there's no input. There's no input from the vehicle itself, the footage just dumps, and otherwise it's basically recording all the time and will capture anything related to an incident, whether that's indicated by the driver or the vehicle itself.
I've got to say, I know you're not a big fan of Tesla, but that Tesla has fairly remarkable surveillance or cameras.
They do, and I'm not a fan of vehicles level that, but yeah, I can't argue with that. That is that's pretty cool. Like it's a it's a massive, it's a supercomputer on wheels is what Teslas are, and throw some camera data, you can see exactly what's going on with your Tesla anytime.
And they're connected, so you could probably do that remotely too.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, but I'm assuming.
Yeah, absolutely.
Very cool. And,
so I caught a little bit about the fastest you've driven on duty, and legally as well. And I don't know if we've spoken about it, but for Canadians, it's kind of astonishing. The fastest I've driven legally is 301 kilometers an hour.
Now that's on a track?
No, that was out of Germany.
Oh, that is legal driving.
Mm-hmm.
We talk about the Autobahn because the Autobahn is so regularly thrown at me as, well, it's not fast because they're faster, and it's not so bad because they have lower collision rates. The quality of driver in Europe is so much higher than the quality here. And people will get all offended when I say this, but it is not go get a G1, maybe drive for 6 times, get a G2 8 to 10 months later or 12 months later, and then, maybe there is intense 2-year program from what I understand.
Yeah, absolutely. It's at least 2 years to get your driver's license, and the licensing standards are the tests are significantly higher. You genuinely have to demonstrate.
Oh, and we lost him. We did hit a record. He's back. and actually, you're not blurry this time. We were talking to a muddy, a muddy Brian Max, but now we can actually see your face properly.
Okay, that's good. Well, I did hit the right setting on mine. All I'm going to do is blame my cable provider and the internet.
It is entirely them. We would not blame anyone else.
Yeah, it's 100% them. So yeah, in Germany, it's perfectly safe to drive at those speeds, and I've driven the Autobahn dozens and dozens of times in different vehicles, and of course, anytime you get into what do they call them? The unrestricted zone. With all the things that I drive, I simply drive flat out and obviously do it safely. But I also understand the rules of the road. My skill set's a little bit different than everybody else. And what's great about drivers over there is they're actually paying attention, and they're looking at the view at their rear view mirror.
They're switched on. They're doing what they're supposed to be doing, which is focused on driving, not on anything else. And,
yes.
And that even pulling over for emergency vehicles, the way they do it in Europe is so much better. They part the seas. They do it. There's no questions about it. There's no, pausing to think about things and pondering life before responding. They're on it. Now, you mentioned the unrestricted zone, and I think that's something that people most often don't understand about the Autobahn is there are speed limits in the Autobahn in different areas, populated areas, 80 to 130 kilometers an hour, heavily enforced by automatic enforcement, as well as a magical group of motorcycle officers who do an exquisite job of patrolling.
Yeah, it's completely different, and a lot of it is automated as well. So near the cities, the speed limits change depending on traffic conditions, depending on weather. And wow. That's done by signs, either physical signs or digital boards, and they make it very clear what the speed limit is. And when there's a speed limit, that is the speed limit. There's no fooling around. And I've never been ticketed because I also understand that. But a lot of my colleagues in automotive media get ticketed in Germany all the time because they think, it says 130. Well, maybe I can do 140. It's like, no, you can't.
Zero tolerance. And there's other things like if you are not passing, don't be in the passing lane, and they enforce it strictly.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
So you pass, you get back in the lane. No one should be in the lane unless they're actively passing. They're big on this, but I think that the majority of drivers here who are big bembo brakes, they're hotshot drivers by their own, accord. They would probably get into big trouble there.
Okay, absolutely, and they'll learn some pretty quick lessons.
Well, it's all about learning. That's why we're here. A not topical question, at least an off-topic question from Tino, who has asked a number of times, so I figure I should put everybody in the chat out of the misery. Ask things once, please. Don't spam. No spam. as Akela says, spam is for sandwiches. But do you need to go to school for becoming a police officer? So quickly, I will talk about employment shortly, but yes, you do have to go first of all, you have to have an OSSD or equivalent. That's an Ontario Secondary School Diploma, grade 12 minimum. Secondary school or post-secondary school, I should say, is a benefit, but not a requirement. And then once you are hired, you have a conditional offer, you have to go and you have to graduate police college. And that's a separate thing. Okay.
Oh, here's a good one. What is unnecessary blowing your horn? So I experienced this morning. I watched a gentleman drive aggressively, try to dive to the inside of a car making a right turn. Of course, the car that did the diving, that was driving aggressively, that driver was honking his horn the entire time as he drove by me, because I was walking with my dog. I gave him the gesture that told him he was number one. That's all I did.
Very kind of you.
Yeah, and then he had to stop and yell at me and said, "Do you kiss your mother with that mouth?" And I didn't say anything.
Well, here's the deal. People don't understand. Well, so unnecessary noise is whether you are emitting sound by way of your tires, which would also count now as stunt driving for squealing your wheels, but unnecessary noise coming out of your exhaust, which doesn't require a modified exhaust to do it. You could actually, and we should talk about noise for a moment, because we were talking about this offline.
Yeah.
But also honking or stereo. If you're making noise that isn't required for the safe operation of your vehicle and doesn't make sense, like if you're honking to alert someone of impending doom, honking your horn makes sense. A tap on the horn makes sense to get someone's attention. But driving for a kilometer with your horn on because you hate life isn't okay. But yeah. But, in speaking about noise, it's a perfect segue. I was chatting with you a couple days ago about these systems. Did we lose them? We lost them. We're back. Hang on. I don't know. I'm coming over to your house. We're fixing your computer. I don't know what's going on. We might be laying new lines to.
It is neither my. It's not my technology. It is 100% the Rogers connection.
Something. Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah.
But so the deal is that Mustangs have a multi-mode exhaust. Essentially, you can choose a silent, muffled note, and you can turn it all the way up to track mode and make lots of noise. And it's legal to have that equipment, but the noise that you create is a choice that you make, and the consequences of the choices you make may result in tickets.
Yeah.
But the equipment itself is legal.
Absolutely, and I think the story goes with these later Mustangs that have this quiet mode is that when the engineers were testing Mustangs, they would annoy their neighbors, and they're being polite neighbors and that sort of thing. So they didn't want to be in that position, so they developed a quiet mode to the exhaust. And I'll tell you that a lot of these high performance things that I drive, that when they start up, they're extremely loud. Like I drive some things that will rattle my neighbor's house when I start them up. They're incredibly loud, and you know what I mean. Some people don't mind being that guy, but I think you just don't want to be that guy and annoy all your neighbors with your loud car.
Well, if you don't want to be that guy. By the way, I should mention, for anyone who has questions for Brian Max, whether it be as an automotive journalist or as a race car driver or someone who has a race team, this would be a good opportunity to ask questions of someone who likes to go fast and does it legally. I should have given you a better intro than I don't think I really went into depth, but he knows stuff and things, and this is your opportunity to have a conversation. It's not that it'll never happen again, but you should certainly take advantage of it now. We have a couple of questions. There was something I wanted to talk about, and it was a concept. A lot of people think that the dial-up exhaust systems are cutouts. Cutouts are a bypass that send noise and bypasses the muffler. That's why it's loud. That's not what these are doing. These are actually changing baffles inside the car, so it's not illegal. Again, I think I mentioned that earlier, but it's a choice. And you could also make a choice to be really obnoxiously loud in a Honda Civic.
Well, which is exactly what I'm doing tomorrow. Nice segue. So you can't really see. I've got like lots of trophies way in the corner there, and won all those in Honda Civics. And so a friend of mine has a race car that's based on a Honda Civic, very similar to what I used to drive, and he invited me out to the racetrack tomorrow to do that. And that it's a wonderfully inexpensive car to operate for the racetrack. And track time is really inexpensive as well. So it's kind of a wonderful situation. So we'll spend a few hours playing with race cars and going fast and doing it all legally. And and at the end of the day, it doesn't cost a lot of money.
Unlike your Mercedes, if you break those.
Yeah. Our Mercedes AMG GT4s are not inexpensive. I've only driven one of ours once, and that's about it. But I mean, a set of tires is $3,500, and we use 5 of them over the course of a weekend. So that's just one example.
So a lot of people, and we've spoken about this in our podcast episode, which, by the way, I still think is the most successful podcast for TPS Traffic Jam. I think it had the highest stats for replay, the one that you and I were on.
Oh, no kidding. Oh, that's funny. I remember.
The deal is that people say that racing professionally or racing legitimately is expensive. You have to drive too far, and it's both true and not true at the same time. But this is an excuse that people use often to street race or drive stunt driving-ish on the road.
Mm-hmm. And at the end of the day, I mean, I'll be quite frank about it. But so somebody who uses those excuses is just simply lazy, and they're genuinely not interested in doing it properly and doing it safely, and shouldn't be on the road.
I second that. They don't know. But they're willing to put other people's lives at risk to play games and look cool, which isn't really cool for anyone else who's wondering. So a question from TikTok typed by my lovely wife is, what's the speed over the limit where your car gets towed? I've seen 40 and I've seen 50. Well, it actually changed, I think, in 2021. And it used to be 50 kilometers over the posted speed limit. And he's gone and he's back.
I'm back.
Only 3 times this time. We're doing pretty good.
We'll see. We'll see.
If you are in a zone with a speed limit it was 50 kilometers and over anywhere. And it used to be 7-day suspension, 7-day impound. Now, since the law changed, it is 50 over the posted limit of 80 or more. So if it's a 60, you only have to do 40 over. If it's an 80 or more, it's 50 over, which constitutes stunt driving. But there's another one that people don't get, and that is 150 kilometers an hour regardless of where you are. So if you're 150 kilometers an hour and the speed limit is 140, as soon as you do 100, there's nowhere that it's 140. 110, you do 40 over in the 110, bringing it to 150, you're stunt driving. That is lose your car for 30 days. Lose your car for 14 days, lose your license for 30 days. They raised the 7 and 7 up to 14 and 30, and that's good. Next thing should be something like crushing your car. I don't know why people have to go this fast when it's so clearly illegal.
Yeah, I don't get it. I mean, going back to what we're talking about with German driving and licensing standards, we just don't have that here. We don't have the same road infrastructure. The roads are not maintained to the same standard. They're not built to the same standard. They're built to, I don't know what the actual number is, but it's nowhere near 150 kilometers an hour. Sure, you might have sight lines that support that, but the road surface is not designed for that. The entire infrastructure on a freeway, even something like the 407, is not designed for cars traveling at 150 kilometers an hour.
I 100% agree. We have giant potholes you could lose an entire vehicle in. That would do incredible things. Things if you were doing speed. And again, you give up something. It's time travel to some degree. You are giving up the ability to respond to things at high speed. You have to be looking so far into the future that you are predicting. Like race car drivers walk the track. They learn the track. They don't just jump on a car and go. There's a lot of planning. Not to mention the fact that there's paramedics and fire teams and mobile hospitals and things when race car drive events take place.
Well, and let alone all the safety equipment built into the race car and the safety equipment that the drivers have to wear. I mean, we've got multiple layers of fireproof material. We've got a helmet that's rated to sustain multiple impacts inside a vehicle. That's also lined with fireproof material. Like it's incredible stuff. And in a road car, you don't have that. I mean, the race cars are incredibly safe, much safer than any road car. But you have to be using all of those systems, and all of those systems work together. It's not like you can throw a racing harness in a road car. That just doesn't work. It's not meant to work.
But it looks so cool.
Not to me, it doesn't, because I know it doesn't work. You know, you need the right seat, you need the right mounting points. All of these things have to work together.
But they're available on Amazon. Now, I will say that I've seen
Oh.
some Amazon crash test videos. Now, they're not videos from Amazon, but they're from the crap that you can buy on Amazon, and the harnesses just blow up. They don't function the way that a proper racing harness in a race car does.
Yeah, absolutely. And like with our older race cars, we would build all of these systems on our own. Now with our AMGs, they're manufactured by a division of Mercedes-Benz, so they take the occupant safety very, very seriously, and it's effectively the car itself is effectively a safety cell to protect drivers at very high speed impacts.
Here's a great question that's just for you: is it worth being a race car driver, and does it pay good?
like anything, if you make all the sacrifices and commit to it, and sacrifice literally everything else at the expense of being a race driver, you can do pretty good.
Well, if you're good, you can sacrifice it all and stink and not be fast and not win.
Well, you get to a certain point where everybody kind of does the same speed, and then it becomes, racing drivers can all kind of run the same, quick lap, but then it becomes, can you manage tires over a long period of time? Can you manage fuel over a long period of time? Can you deal with the media? Are you a nice person? How is your social media following? Can you raise money from sponsors? All of these things. So driving a race car is maybe 2% of a racing driver's job.
No kidding. Yeah, I was shocked. You've told me so much. I've learned so much about the racing industry that I just didn't understand, and still, to some degree, don't understand. And he's gone, and he's back.
Still
we
here.
don't know why.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's not what you think it is. It's simply different. It's not a job. I think it's something you have to really be in it because you live it and you breathe it, and it's not something you go and apply for because it pays good. Now, here's a follow-up question. Actually, it was out of our order because this one came in first from Tino. Is it worth being a police officer? And I'm assuming that does it pay good?
Yeah.
Being a police officer can pay well compared to other jobs, but there's high risk involved, and there's a lot of sacrifice for it as well. It's not for everybody, and it is also not something you join because it pays good. You do it because it's who you are, and contributing and sacrificing yourself for. And again, it is a sacrifice. You're giving up time with family. You're giving up nights and weekends and holidays and things. You're working in the cold. It's not the executive bathroom experience that you might be if you're an internet mogul, but it's very rewarding, and I'm very happy and proud to be one. Yeah. Is it illegal to drive through a yellow light? What do we think? Do you want to take this one?
Well, that's the question. And if you're approaching the intersection and the light turns yellow, and you don't have the ability to stop, and you clear the intersection through a yellow, you're generally not going to be ticketed. And I'm pretty sure that's an interpretation that's close to the law. However, here in the city, in the city, it's very clear because the crosswalks have the timers on them. So it's not like I'm pushing rushing through intersections. Again, dumbest idea ever, but it's very clear when that yellow light is going to happen. And, if you have some experience as a driver, how much time you need to get through the intersection safely.
If you're not looking at the hood of your car and the 4 feet in front of that hood, then you should be able to forecast things that are changing in your future. You should be looking at the sight line, the horizon, way in advance. When that light turns amber, you should know whether or not you're capable of safely stopping, because that's what the law requires you to do. And if I, as a police officer, are monitoring that intersection and I see you accelerate to make it, it means you could have stopped. That's what it means.
Exactly.
So yeah, it's not hammer down. It's not red means stop, green means go, and yellow means go faster. It is red means stop, yellow means stop if it's safe to do so, and green means go. It is one of those things that has, baffled minds for many moons.
Oh yes, since the dawn of traffic lights.
Earlier, I said, what character said, I love it when a plan comes together, and Akela Draconis came back with its A team, Hannibal Smith, and you are absolutely correct.
Yeah,
Yes. I did you watch A Team as a kid?
of course. Anything with cars going fast and explosions and that sort of thing. That was a great show.
It of the many amazing shows, Knight Rider was amazing. Chips, I'm very fond of. It's my favorite show. Chips being, Eric Estrada, and and his partner, and the two of them were saving the day in their own special way. Yeah, it's good TV.
Yeah, absolutely. My favorite as a kid was of course Dukes of Hazzard.
I will say that I was more enamored with Daisy Duke as a kid, and now I look at her and I'm like, I thought she was pretty. I don't understand, but
Yeah.
anyway, it's just it's a long time ago, and I thought that GI Joe had great artistic cartooning and whatnot, and even Transform. These things look like they were written or drawn in Crayola, but it was what we had. And
That's
low-res
right.
squared TVs.
That's right.
Akela adds that Mike Smith won a Harley. Congrats. So yesterday we had the draw. This was all in support of Special Olympics Ontario. We've been talking about it for months. And it came down to a winner, and it was Mike Smith. So congratulations, Mike.
Cool.
Boom, boom, boom. There's a question about radar detectors.
Yeah, I saw that earlier. Yes.
Yes. What radar detector would you recommend? Cops in Miami told me none. Illegal in Canada. It's not illegal in Canada everywhere. It is illegal in Ontario.
Yeah.
And fun. Brian, I probably told you about this, but we have an incredible authority in relation to radar detectors and devices that cause his screen to go away, and equipment that is to foil the police's attempt to measure your speed. In that we have search and seizure authority. We can pull you over if we believe you have it. We can search the vehicle until we find it or not find it, but we have that authority. It's a $170 fine. It is 3 demerit points, and we keep the toy, which could be upwards of $1,000 of equipment.
Yeah, or more.
Yeah. Jammers fall into the same category. You're preventing police from accurately measuring your speed. It's illegal. Now, some provinces allow it, and I do not understand why anyone in the world, any government in the world, says you should be able to have a device that allows you to break the law and then change your behavior just so you can avoid getting charged. I think it's ridiculous. Unless there's some kind of thinking that, well, they'll push the limits and then they'll be more confident, and we can make devices that don't trigger the detector will then catch more people. I don't know. I don't understand the motivation. I just think it's a very bad idea.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really get it, especially when you've got I'm sure no one's done a study about this, but if you're concerned about speeding, you can use tools like Waze, and there are enough users on Waze that will indicate where speed enforcement might be happening.
I always thought it was like the famous guy when I popped up on Waze. If I was doing enforcement, it's me.
That's kind of funny.
Yeah, well, it was a long time ago, and I was so excited to have made the. It's some people want to be recognized by the Academy. I was recognized by Waze.
Sure. Now, I did see some interesting enforcement earlier this week that was not in the city, and a police officer was enforcing the HOV lane passenger rule. Unfortunately, turned a bad situation into a worse one, and I'm surprised there wasn't a collision, because that officer pulled into the highway and blocked multiple lanes of traffic that were traveling quickly. I didn't think that was a smart thing to do, just to pull over and speak with a gentleman who was driving alone in his vehicle using the HOV lane.
Not having seen what they did, I hard to judge. But at the same time, it is something that needs to have heavy enforcement. Maybe it should be something that is simple as a photo ticket, and it can be sent. But we were talking about yesterday on the Jerry Agar show with Deb Hutton, talking about the fact that people, there were some people were a little bit upset about the fact that we were doing enforcement, actually giving a ticket for something as inconsequential as the HOV lane, and the fact that I was concerned, or my biggest concern, is speed differential. That people are doing even the speed limit when traffic is at a dead stop in the other lanes. It's so dangerous. And HOV lanes are not high-speed lanes. They're just allowing people who are carpooling to get a little bit further, a little bit faster. Not higher speed, but when everybody else is having a problem.
Yeah, it was also the other day. It was a bit disturbing because the regular lanes were basically stopped, and the HOV lane was clear, and I had the cruise control set at the speed limit, and I'm flying by all these now stopped cars, and I'm like, this is not a good idea, because somebody's going to get the bright idea to pull out into the HOV lane. Yes.
In a perfect world, if no one crossed that line, if no one decided to make a break for it because they're impatient or they didn't realize they had more than one person and qualified, and they say, I'm going to go. Well, that those turn deadly regularly in the States. I've seen tremendous, like crazy videos with cars just exploding. Not with fire, just it's parts everywhere. This is not a collision that somebody walks away from, I don't think.
No, absolutely not.
There's a question about music. I listen to loud music, and can it be a little loud? How loud is too loud? I think that people get the wrong impression when I say loud music gets you a ticket for unnecessary noise. Loud to the average person is like, I find it uncomfortable being over 9. My kids are like, turn it down, Dad. It's a little noisy. My podcasts really rock it. But the how loud? I'm talking about a system where people on the street are feeling it like they're in your car. That's loud. If I can just hear your music from the street, I don't have a problem with it. If I hear it like I'm in your car, that's where I have a problem. If that can give you, there's no decibel rating required to lay a charge.
Oh, isn't that interesting? We were discussing this offline, but there's a lot of new cars with very high-end sound systems that do have a practical limit that really don't go that loud. It's very interesting.
It is interesting. We'll continue right now. There we go.
The vehicle I'm testing this week has a very high-end sound system. It's an optional thing, and I can dial that up to whatever the maximum is. It's probably not 11, but whatever the maximum is, and it's really not that loud. On the other hand, I do have some hearing loss from so long, but it's not going to damage anyone's hearing, which is the very loud come from the aftermarket, or there are some OEM systems that are.
Yeah, a lot of them change speed based on your speed, so you can set it, and then it'll continue to increase based on road speed. In louder conditions, it's really not an issue. It's mostly an issue in stop and go traffic when the world is hearing you. Oddly enough, sound travels in a weird way, and as you're traveling through it, Doppler effect kicks in, and sound doesn't sound the same for everybody at the same time. Like, for instance, a siren for us, we have to be about a car length behind a vehicle at 100 kilometers an hour for them to hear it, because you're leaving the sound in your past. We're time traveling, and it's one of those interesting things. But I believe that the bigger thing, and this really was clear to me with Shure in-ear monitors. If you've ever used Shure monitors, it's not about how loud you can go. It's how much you can isolate the sound, and so it's not competing with ambient sound. And vehicles like Mercedes that have the double pane glass, it's quiet in the cabin. There is no need to be loud. If you're trying to be loud to be heard over the misfiring of an engine and the rattling of a broken car, that is where loud tends to be more necessary.
Yeah, absolutely. And a lot of these high-end cars have incredible sound deadening, and that's all throughout the car. And that's it's the glass and the construction of the car. They're incredibly silent.
A question about autonomous vehicles. You know lots about autonomous vehicles, but this is a traffic officer side of it. Are autonomous vehicles difficult to deal with as a traffic officer? They're still in Ontario required to be operated by a human. There's no autonomous. Well, there's 4 vehicles that run in level 4 and 5. Those are part of a project through GATIC. They're the only vehicles on the road other than an autonomous vehicle on, I think, McGill University property. That's it. So any vehicle, Tesla, I don't even know what else is running autonomous modes. They are not really autonomous. They're level 3 vehicles. You have to monitor them with a human. They have to take over. They're fully responsible. And if that driver doesn't respond, it's easy to charge the driver.
Mhm.
Very, very helpful.
Yeah, absolutely. The other interesting thing about the vehicle that I'm testing this week has it's like a highway assistant for traffic jams, like a traffic jam assistant, and it will allow you to go hands off from 0 to about 60 kilometers an hour when you're stuck in a traffic jam.
Okay, so just stop and go stuff, it takes over.
Mhm.
I think that's great.
Yeah, and then after that, you get audible and visual alerts that the system has shut off.
And you're still required to be paying attention. You're still, even though it's
Oh.
there, you're responsible for everything.
Yes, it also has driver monitoring built in. So if you're looking away or looking at your phone, it knows. And yeah, exactly. So it will also give you a warning.
On my drive home, so if people don't know, I'm not a road officer. I was injured in a motor vehicle collision. I was on a motorcycle now 5 years ago. I'm not on the road. I love the idea of getting back on the road. I'm getting better every day. I'm working towards it, but I'm not there yet. But if you think that I don't have a mouthpiece on me and I don't communicate even though I'm not working, you'd be wrong. On the way home last night, I pulled up beside a power couple. They're in their car, or I assume it's their car. Maybe it's the driver's car. He's on his phone, she's on her phone, and she's the front passenger seat occupant, and her feet are on the dashboard. So I'm like, okay, I'm biting my tongue. I can't do it anymore. I roll down the window. I show them my identification. I said, hi there. Forget about the fact that you're both on phones. And that's a $615 ticket for you, and you don't get a ticket as a passenger, but you are going to get crippled when you get into a collision and that airbag deploys at 200 miles per hour with your legs in the position they're in. And they said, we're sorry.
Yeah. I saw it again the other day, and I had to repost an old thing I did for social media. So it was in my Instagram story again the other day, and it's I don't understand it. I don't understand why people would get the bright idea to put their feet on the dashboard of a car while it's moving.
It's wild to me. I think he's gonna. Oh, he's still there. Oh, there he goes. I was able to predict that one. It was that awkward silence. This morning, I'm on my way in. I came across. I was on the Allen Road approaching Eglinton, and I saw a Toronto crash truck. We have crash trucks that go to create shade, as we call it. They block the lane so that people who are on their phones don't drive into the cars that are pulled away. They have this big crash basket on the back, and I saw two vehicles at the side of the road. Both of the drivers out. Neither one of them were injured. Neither vehicle was damaged. But they were, it was their first collision, and they were having a discussion about what to do next. So I was able to stop and give them some advice and get them going.
Oh, that's good.
So if you were on the Allen Road and the traffic sped up for you, you're welcome. But they were very nice. They were very nice.
Yeah.
Let's see here. So we did. I never played that video for you, did I?
No.
My Howie video. Okay.
No, I still haven't seen that. You're
going to see it in just a moment, but
okay.
I want to get this question. 50cc bicycles. I assume it's 50cc. Well, vehicles with 50cc engines, are they legal on the road is the question. I'm extrapolating. People think they can buy kits for 49cc engines and be legal. If it's got a motor, if it's got an engine, if it's not an electric bicycle that qualifies for all the rules, it's a motor vehicle. It's not legal for the road unless it's legal for the road. And yeah, 50cc engines are generally not. If you strap it onto a bicycle, it's definitely not. Conversion kits aren't legal, but there's a lot of disinformation going around. The people who are selling them want you to believe they're legal, and they will lie to you so that you will pay them money, and then you get the tickets, not them. And you're eligible for stuff like unsafe motor vehicle, drive motor vehicle, no insurance, no license, no registration, like there's unsafe or improper brakes, improper headlight, improper, like everything under the sun, because you decide to put a $500 bicycle kit or motor kit on your bicycle. So don't do that. You're having some lag on your side. I'm going to play that video. Oh, you're back.
Yeah. Oh, please do. I'm here.
Okay. Here is the. Let me get that off the screen, and here is the video. This video should really shock you. This is footage filmed in my vehicle. This is my dash camera. And what you're seeing is an aggressive driver. They're following too close, and that isn't shocking on its own. It's not legal, but it's not shocking. It's the maneuver they're about to do. This is the aggressive lane change to the right, the immediate cutting off of the vehicle on its left, and then when it gets better, it's the thread the needle between 18-wheelers. Yeah. Those 18-wheelers couldn't have seen them. There's about a 19-foot box of invisibility, and that vehicle was in it. Want to see it again? Yeah, let's have a look. Just amazing. So we've got all sorts of things. This is someone who... Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry. You don't. I mean, I'm biased, but if you're driving a vehicle like that, pretty sure you don't have the skill set to pull off that maneuver safely. You got really lucky there.
Well, lucky for one, but even if you had the skill set, that is just stupid.
Oh, it's bad. It's bad. Truck drivers can't see that, and I mean, also, the whole multiple lane change thing is a bad idea. It's also very very illegal in this province as well. So none of that is good. No drivers are expecting it, and I've written a column on this, and I argue that LA drivers are better than Toronto drivers for that reason alone. In LA, I rarely see those maneuvers, and in Toronto, I see them all the time. I don't understand what people think they're going to accomplish.
The comment section was very upset with me. They saw the video, like, did you charge him? I'm like, I was in my personal. I didn't. I suppose it's my fault. I didn't clarify. Off duty in my personal car. I said my dash cam. And I thought my meant my personal, but they didn't convey properly. So my personal vehicle with my wife and children in the car, I'm not chasing someone, pulling them over, and without a body armor, uniform, radio to call for help, firearm. Like, kind of need some stuff. But I get lots of people really upset. It's your duty. You should have chased him. No. But I did. Oddly enough, this was sort of something that you're driving, you see something not so safe, and then you see the abrupt lane change, and all you do is, oh my God! Like that's what I said. That was actually a direct quote as to what I said. But I hadn't seen, I hadn't really seen it. You're just seeing it in the peripheral because you're busy driving,
right?
And you see the first part, which draws your attention, and it's over before you actually set. Like I didn't read a plate. Well, he's gone, and he's back. I really want to know why this is happening, because it's only with you.
Is it just me?
Only you.
Well, you know what? Next time we're going to try a different browser.
Maybe. But Chrome is the one you're in, right?
Yeah.
Chrome is the one that's you're needed. It's the only one that's really supported.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, it's 10 after 11, which means we're already in overtime, but I don't mind overtime. Are you in a rush to go anywhere?
No, I do have a very important racing call shortly, but it's not happening at the
I'm scrolling through
next
to
few minutes.
See if there's any really great questions. I would normally Akela needs to go have breakfast. Did Akela wants to know if he saw you driving a golf cart looking for me? I think you saw it the other way around. I was driving a golf cart looking for Brian at one point.
Or you were driving me to our destination.
Yeah, I gave you a ride.
Yeah, we were in the golf cart together.
Is there? Akela is a magical man. Is there any practical use for a radar detector other than detecting police while driving? Perhaps missile detection while flying.
Well, if you understand the frequencies emitted by other devices, then perhaps. But I kind of don't think so.
What is this here? Magnetic lines. We're talking about bicycles. Okay, Jeff has a confession story. I'm nervous.
Uh-oh.
Big Jeff Fresh says, on the topic of looking ahead while driving, before my wife had a license, I was driving with her as a passenger at night. We were approaching a red light, and she was starting to freak out because I was showing. So this is probably slowing down.
Yeah.
But at a much farther distance away, I noticed the lights chasing for the other direction. Changing. Boy, there's a lot of typos here.
Yeah.
Changing for the other direction, and I knew it would be green by the time we got there. So he was predicting. And it worked out for you that time. But she was freaking out because she didn't understand why he wasn't responding appropriately to what was in front. That's reasonable. There is a lot to be said for looking into the future you're about to live into. Because we tend to do these knee-jerk reactions well after everybody else has paid attention. Like, if you are looking ahead, you've created a time gap where you can respond to things before others who are not paying attention can.
That is it. It is the number one thing that we teach in race driving and performance driving is to look as far ahead as possible, and that includes on the road as well as the racetrack.
Oh, 100%. What is this? A cop speeding doing 60 in a 40 zone while on duty. He's rushing to get a free coffee at the local coffee shop before his shift ends. Does this qualify as lawful duties and therefore permitted under law? Ryan, some of your questions are really great. This one's not. Nobody runs to a coffee shop or gets free coffee. It's a preposterous concept. But no, that wouldn't be a lawful duty, but you'd never be able to prove it. That's the problem. We are permitted to exceed the speed limit while working because we are doing stuff that is related to policing. So if we are going to do enforcement, we can go faster than you. But no, it's not intended to get to the bathroom faster. It's not intended. That's not an emergency, even though a number 2 could be for some people. It is not an emergency to get home on time. We're paid by the hour. We don't want to put our lives at risk. We're not interested in doing silly things for silly reasons. But yeah, that's not lawful execution of duties. Just racing to get a donut. But it's almost offensive that people think that that's what we would do.
Well, if they've seen it on TV or social media, it must be true.
There you go. Stunt driving is dangerous. Let's see here. We got that. Scroll into it. Okay, got that already.
Someone asked what the vintage Ferrari was, and either you can find it on my social media or it'll be on YouTube shortly.
And that's at Brian Max.
I think it came through on a comment on YouTube.
Oh no, I saw the comment, but I didn't know the context. Where would they look for the?
Brian Max on Instagram.
Okay. There's a couple of things, but I'm trying to. The fine now to block an okay, here we go. So there's a TikTok question. The fine now to block intersection is $4.50. What about the fine for blocking the crosswalk? I have not read the updates. Hey, how you doing?
Hello again.
I've not read the updates, so I don't know if they've actually had the change to the block the box yet. Blocking a sidewalk. You can't park on a sidewalk, so it depends if you're talking about parking or driving, because you can cross a sidewalk, excuse me. But I don't think they've made any adjustments, nor do I know the price of that fine, because I've never laid it. This is one that I meant to answer earlier. What would happen if a G2 driver was caught driving past midnight? Nothing, because it's not illegal for a G2 driver to drive past midnight.
Now, if they were a G1 driver.
Yes, G1 driver cannot drive between midnight and 5 a.m. A G2 driver can drive anytime, day or night. However, in the first year, they have two different restrictions. The first 6 months, they can have no more than one driver who is under the age of 20. I think it's 20. It always throws me off. The wording on these are terrible. But I think it's under the age of 20, so 19 or younger, unless they're a member of their immediate family. In the second 6 months, it's up to 3 passengers under the age of 20, unless they're immediate family. And I guess that's to prevent you from going into nightclubs and traveling with a whole bunch of drunkards in your car. And, whether there's peer pressure is the area or just rowdy people in your vehicle. I don't know. I don't know what the motivation is. But it is the law. Yeah. Another one that really bugs me with the wording is a novice driver, or a young driver, I should say, is someone who is under the age of 22, but the wording says drive with alcohol in the system or a BAC over 0 and not over 21. So if I said you could drink when you're over 21, would you think it's 21 plus a day, or would you think it's 22? Well, the law, if you actually read it, it's 22, but it's read as over 21. But over 21 usually means people. Anyway, long story short, people think it's 21 plus a day. I've turned 21, I can drink now and have more than 0 BAC. It's not. It's 22 years old. So, for the people who were curious, very cool. All right, I think that's it. I mean, there's other stuff here, but I don't know if it's stuff that we continue to extend, because it's almost 20 minutes after, and I haven't played I haven't read a dad joke other than the one that was already in the. You weren't here for the dad joke.
I clearly missed that.
It was, someone broke into the police station and stole all the toilets. Police have nothing to go on.
Really?
But this is the August 1st joke. I actually didn't read any jokes yesterday. The August 1st dad joke for Tuesday. I once knew a wrestler who would always get his opponents in a headlock and write his name on their faces. It was his signature move.
Oh, wow.
I actually really like that one. Yes. August 2nd, my wife told me that she was getting really angry at me for singing I'm a Believer on repeat. I thought she was joking. Then I saw her face.
Oh.
Yeah. It takes a second. All right, sorry. I
Wow.
am not always this interested in the jokes, but today they're hitting me. What do you call? Who do you call to take care of it's actually police related. Who do you call to take care of a mosquito infestation? The SWAT team.
Oh.
These jokes brought to you by my wife, who bought me this calendar. It's all her fault.
That's great.
But I love it.
The world does need dad jokes.
You know what? I'm working on getting my doctorate of dad jokes. We have a question that came in from Instagram. My G2 expires soon. What do I do if I can't book my G test in time? That's a problem. I would look at other locations. I would not simply try booking at the one you've been trying at. Book elsewhere. Make it happen. Now, I think that will temporarily extend your G2 if you have it booked beyond that, but I think that's the extent of it. The other alternative is to take your G2 again, and you can renew and get another 5 years. You have to pay again.
Yep.
Yeah. I think there's some other stuff here. Some of it's conversation. Somebody says, "Oh, that was the question." They said, "Can I get my question answered?" And they said, "Please."
Yeah, I believe we answered that one.
That was the one we got. And then we lost Brian again, and Brian's back.
Yeah.
Okay. And Big Jeff Fresh apologizes for the inordinate amount of typos in his last message. The question that his confession one. All right.
Yeah.
No worries. We understand. It makes it all the more interesting. Parallel lines. What is this? Oh, here's it. Radek gives us a joke. Parallel lines have so much in common. It's too bad they'll never meet.
Uh,
I just wanted a reason to press that button. Okay, we're gonna play the traffic song. Tino, we answered yours already, and we're out. We'll be back after the song.
Yellow light, red light, green light, go. Driving safely helps the traffic flow. Watch for pedestrians, look out for bikes, and don't drive like a jerk that no one likes. Yellow light, red light, green light, go. Driving safely is the way to go. Put down your cell phone, nobody needs you to text and drive on the DVP. Yellow light, red light, green light, go. Stop at stop signs, look both ways, then go. Seatbelt, save your life indeed. And watch your driving, don't speed. Yellow light, red light, green light, go. Driving safely is the way to go. Don't drink and drive or smoke some weed, because you might go to jail and not get free. Yellow light, red light, green light, go. Driving safely helps the traffic flow.
I really like this song. I mean, it's
catchy.
It's fun, and people say, "Well, we did an album, a whole album. I got to put this thing on iTunes. People want to download it." Someone said, please, my question before you go, but I don't see your question, and I don't think it was updated here. Tino, maybe it was Tino's question.
I think we answered Tino's question.
Can you get pulled over off duty? Can you pull over as an off-duty cop if you drive a loud car and get a ticket? Anybody can get pulled over. We don't know you're a cop when we pull you over. We just pull you over because you broke the law.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have a hard time explaining, why you are breaking the law. And it's terrible because there are people who do stupid things in their cars, and they like cars, and then you find out that they're a cop, and it's really disappointing. And then you have to write them a ticket. It's so
It's gonna be awkward.
It's awkward. All right, listen. Thanks so much. Thanks, Brian, for hanging out. It's been a while since I had you on the show, and it's great to have you here because we always have fun conversations. I'll be back tomorrow to do this again for Friday because tomorrow it's hard to believe it's already Friday.
Well, and it's a holiday long weekend as well,
No.
which
Is it really?
is.
No.
Yeah.
What's
it
Monday?
is. Yeah, this coming Monday is a holiday.
What is it?
It's the what is it? The civic holiday.
I wonder if I get that. I didn't know. That's
Now
exciting.
you know. I mean, I generally don't take holidays because I've got one of those wacky work schedules. So what I do instead is, take off tomorrow and go play with race cars on the racetrack.
Okay, you have given me information. I must now find out if I have to come to work on Monday, which means that I will let everyone know tomorrow if we'll be back on Monday. But for those of you who are watching and want to see more of me, because you don't see enough of me already, I'll be back at 12:30 with Kelly Catrera on all of my channels, and of course also on AM 640 Toronto, or Toronto 640, or AM. I mess that up every time.
640.
Yeah, it works. All right, take care, Brian.
All right, thanks,
we'll
Sean.
catch you later. And with that, I get my screen back, and thank you for everyone who's watching. But you know what? I want to do. What do I want to do? I want to just pull up the. No, I'm going to say goodbye. I'm not going to jump. It's like I looked over. I'm like, I didn't talk about careers enough. I said I would, but I didn't. So we'll just do it more tomorrow. That's it. Thanks to everybody who spent time. Trafficcop.ca if you want to follow us everywhere, and if you want to watch the audio only or subscribe to the audio only version of this podcast or this live stream, it's now a podcast called Ask a Traffic Cop. I know, on pretty much everywhere. So go download it, and then you can listen to this in replay mode